Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Gamecock Central Radio. Hope you had a great holiday season. Emerson Phillips with Wes Mitchell here to give you the latest on Gamecock football. And we do have some news to talk about with Gamecock football. Wes, how are you this morning?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing good, man. All right, Gamecock fans, get some good news on Saturday. Cavin Ridley, Riley Ridley, younger brother of Calvin Ridley, who plays for Alabama, four-star receiver prospect out of Deerfield Beach, Florida, commits to South Carolina this past Saturday, causing celebration among the Gamecock Nation. But this morning, Wes Ridley posted something to Twitter announcing that he is going to back off of that commitment to South Carolina, and he's going to continue to evaluate his options. So the Gamecocks are still in play for Riley Ridley, but it looked like South Carolina had him on Saturday, and now this morning we find out maybe not.
Yeah, an interesting situation, and one of these things where, a lot of times when it comes down to decision time and, South Carolina freshmen, early enrollees are actually supposed to report on Tuesday. So, you're talking about final decisions and, actually going off to college. And, it's a difficult decision for these kids. And, I think when you're talking about a kid that you're battling in Alabama for, you're battling other SEC schools for, obviously everyone knows about Calvin Ridley, who is Cavin/Riley's older brother, the stud receiver at Alabama. If you're going to battle with the big boys, it's never going to be easy. And, Travaris Robinson, South Carolina's defensive coordinator, did an excellent job of getting Ridley, the younger Ridley, on campus for an official visit right before the dead period. That was actually the only official visit he took. And at one point, it really looked like, for no other way to say it, it looked like South Carolina basically stole Ridley right from under Alabama's nose. So that was quite a move there. Obviously, Ridley, now that it's sunk in that, I think, hey, I'm going off to school this week, I think he's decided he needs to make complete sure. And I think for a young kid trying to make this very, very important decision, then you have to respect that, and you have to give him time. And I'm sure with Ridley, South Carolina will keep working him. They will remind him, as coaches always do when a kid decommits, you remind him of the reasons he committed in the first place. The chance to make his own name, the chance to start early. And, if I'm South Carolina, I'm also telling him, hey, is it really worth delaying enrollment, which is a possibility? Is it really worth delaying enrollment for a full semester just to take a look at another school and possibly still end up at South Carolina when you could be at South Carolina learning the playbook, basically getting a head start on earning that starting position. So I think there's just a lot for Ridley to have to think about here, and he's going to sit back and consider those options.
Wes, take us through Ridley's plans. It looked like he was going to enroll in January, like you mentioned, but now all that's been put on hold, and he had a very contrite statement on Twitter. He apologized directly to Gamecock fans, said that he wanted to take some more time to make sure he was making the right decision in what obviously is a very critical choice for him and his family.
Yeah, I think you have to just respect his wishes. Sometimes guys decommit and really do it without any wherewithal of how it affects other people. I think this is a kid, you look at his message he sent out, it was obviously very well thought out. It was obviously something he put some effort and time into. And this is a kid that's handled the process the right way, I think, when you look at all sides. So, I think you have to give Ridley the benefit of the doubt and see where it goes from here. And to a broader point, if we can get to it, to a broader point, if you're a South Carolina fan, this is not some three-star kid that also – is deciding between Rutgers and South Carolina. Nothing against Rutgers, but if you can't have it both ways. If you're going to battle with big-time programs, which is what South Carolina's doing with Riley Ridley, and what they're going to be doing going forward, I think everyone on the site here at Gamecock Central that's following recruiting believes South Carolina's recruiting is going to take a major step forward. They're going to be involved with big-time kids every year. This is a kid. If you just take a glance at his rivals profile, Alabama, as far as offers go, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Louisville, Miami, Tennessee. If you're going to battle with the big boys, then this type of stuff is going to happen. I mean, I remember a few years ago when you had a guy who was on Auburn's campus for an official visit, and something happened. He got upset, and he left Auburn's campus and went to Alabama to finish the weekend. So when you're dealing with kids who are getting recruited by major programs and getting their heads filled with stuff from major SEC programs, then big boy recruiting is not for the faint of heart. So I think South Carolina fans are going to have to come to the realization that these type of things are going to happen. Some of them are going to go your way, and some of them are not. This one, for a moment, looked like South Carolina, like it was going South Carolina's way. It still could, but until a kid is on campus and getting ready to start class, then anything can happen in recruiting. And that's obviously part of that drama is why so many people follow it. But at the same time, that is going to annoy a lot of people as well.
All right, so Ridley committed on Saturday, but has since backpedaled. This morning he posted on Twitter that he was going to decommit from South Carolina, although the Gamecocks are still very much in the mix for his services. So this is a fluid situation, as is often the case in recruiting, and we will continue to monitor it for you here on Gamecock Central. We invite you to download the free phone apps that allow you to listen to Gamecock Central Radio on your phone. We have an iPhone app, and the Android app is out as well. And we're on iTunes. Simply search Gamecock Central Radio for all three. Emerson Phillips with Wes Mitchell here on this Monday morning. And Wes, the Gamecocks hired another assistant coach. Lance Thompson comes on board. Will Muschamp continuing to fill out his staff. Tell us about Lance Thompson.
Yeah, I think, we were just talking about recruiting, and this is another guy that is a big boy recruiter. You look at this staff, Travaris Robinson, who we've talked about at length, elite recruiter. You look at Brian McClendon, the wide receivers coach that comes over. Now he's co-offensive coordinator from Georgia. Elite recruiter. I think Will Muschamp, elite recruiter. Lance Thompson is someone who's known as an elite recruiter. You want some guys on staff, and not everybody on staff is going to be able to have the reputation that a Lance Thompson, that a Brian McClendon, that these other guys bring you, but you want a few guys that immediately, when they come on staff, have a reputation that basically precedes them as far as getting you interest from big-time players, getting you interest in from kids that want to play for major SEC programs. And I think if you look at Lance Thompson, that's what you have. You have a guy, you talk about SEC experience, man. This is a guy, I got his bio up right now. He was at Auburn last year with obviously with Will Muschamp on that defense. He's had 2 stints at Alabama. So if you can coach for Nick Saban, obviously you can coach. 2 different times. He's had a stint at Tennessee. He was a defensive coordinator at Central Florida, but he's also been at LSU. He's had 2 stints under Saban in Alabama. He's actually had 3 total stints at Alabama. So this is a guy that has the SEC in his blood, so to speak. And I don't know exactly what names yet. I think a kid for big recruiting fans out there to look up maybe would be Nick Coe, the COE, a defensive line prospect that is committed to Auburn. I would think the kid would probably be a little bit interested in South Carolina now because Lance Thompson was his recruiter of record. But this is a guy that I think immediately you're going to end up seeing new names pop up for South Carolina because he instantly gives South Carolina credibility and also gives them 4 elite recruiters on staff. This is a guy that would be considered by most who follow the recruiting industry to be a top 25 in the country type recruiter.
Yeah, Will Muschamp continues to assemble an exceptional staff for South Carolina. On paper, this staff looks very good, Wes, and we're going to have more information on a couple more coaching hires that we expect in the next couple of weeks for Gamecock football. It's Gamecock Central Radio. Emerson Phillips with Wes Mitchell. Wes, let's go back to recruiting just a little bit. I know a lot of Gamecock fans may be pushing the panic button a little bit with the Ridley decommit this morning, but people need to keep in mind that it's just part and parcel of the recruiting process. A kid pays a visit to one school and he likes it. He may commit verbally right after the visit, but then he goes to another school later on and he likes it as well, so he backs off that initial commitment. This is par for the course in recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, I think big time recruiting, not for the faint of heart. I promise it's going to be a very entertaining January on Gamecock Central. It's going to be an entertaining start to February, but it's not all going to go your way if you're a South Carolina fan. It never does for any school. So I would just say buckle up, sit back, make sure your tray tables are in the upright position, and enjoy the process here down the stretch.
Yeah, be a regular visitor to Gamecock Central for all the latest recruiting information. A lot of high-profile recruits still out there, undecided, uncommitted. And these are some of the players that some of the Gamecocks will be working on as we continue to near signing day coming up in early February. You can get breaking Gamecock news alerts delivered to your email inbox. Text USC to 42828. Text USC to 42828 or visit the Gamecock Central homepage for more information. Emerson Phillips with Wes Mitchell. Wes, a number of high-quality players still out there and uncommitted, and we've got just a few weeks left until signing day. The dead period will end soon, so the Gamecock staff hard at work trying to land recruits not only here in South Carolina but across the Southeast. Travaris Robinson and some of these other Gamecocks assistants working very hard in South Florida and in Georgia. Talk about the next couple of weeks for Gamecock recruiting.
Yeah, should be a big few weeks. You got the dead period will end in the next week or so because you actually start back official visits again on the January 15th weekend. So you have January 15th weekend, January 27th weekend, and the January 29th weekend. And then right after that, February 3rd is National Signing Day 2016. So plenty to look forward to, and there'll be plenty of visitors on campus for official visits, taking in the South Carolina program in the coming weekends.
All right, Wes, if my count is correct, the Gamecocks are up to 18 commitments for 2016, and that may have included Ridley. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah, I'm not a big numbers guy, but I think you're right. I think that included Ridley, so I think it's 17 now.
17 now.
Yeah, don't quote me on that.
Okay, right. Ballpark guesstimate here, and it changes hourly. So, Wes, talk about priority players, some of the recruits that the Gamecocks are really trying to hone in on here with a few weeks left until signing day.
Well, I would look, obviously, for them to try to do everything they can to stay in the game with Ridley. That's going to be a major priority. I think you look, there's really not a position that I can sit here and say that they don't need some help at. I think primarily you're looking for playmakers. You're looking for guys that can step in and help right away. Sam Bruce is another wide receiver from Miami that South Carolina will get in on an official visit January 15th. He's committed to Miami right now. Obviously, there's been coaching changes there. He's looking around. He's going to give the Gamecocks a shot. Again, Travaris Robinson just doing work down in South Florida. So, he's a big name to look at. T.J. Brunson, the local linebacker from Richland Northeast, someone I really like South Carolina's chances with. I've said that before. A number of defensive linemen that South Carolina's going to look at. Kobe Smith, a kid who's going to make a decision, big defensive tackle. Was at one time committed to Kentucky. He's going to make a decision actually in the next week or so. I feel like South Carolina, they're in pretty good shape there. You never can tell, but I think they're in pretty good shape there. So, and I really think there's just going to be a lot of new names popping up. We've already seen new names pop up, and I think that's going to continue in the next, month.
Yeah, the last 3 or 4 weeks have been a continuous stream of new names, new prospects that the Gamecocks have worked on and tried to get into the fold here. Wes, before we let you go, any word on Sky Moore? There's been speculation that he may go pro, and I'm wondering what you've heard on him.
There has been some speculation there. We have not received any type of firm word on that right now. That's something we're kind of digging on, but I lean, if you want my opinion, I lean towards him still going pro, but that is a situation we are, monitoring or tracking to try and see if there's really anything to that idea that he could be back.
Yeah, obviously Gamecock fans would love to have him back. He'd be one of the leaders of the 2016 football team if he were to return, but some folks feel he's NFL ready. coming off a big year in 2015 for Gamecock football. And this is something that we'll have more information on in the days and weeks to come. Of course, players that wish to participate in the Combine have got to apply to do that by late January. So we'll find out more on Sky Moore here in the next couple of weeks. Wes, thanks for the update. Have a great week.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Wes Mitchell is his name, and I'm Emerson Phillips, and this is Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for joining us.